John, great to see you again.
Bryan, likewise. Likewise.
Very excited to have this conversation with you and go down the rabbit hole for a few different topics. And
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited to learn and hear your journey.
Yeah. And thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me. Give me an excuse to ramble on a little bit about what I'm doing.
I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait. Well, for the audience, would love to get an introduction of who you are and your background, and tell the people who they're listening to.
Sure. So my name is Jon Merripen. I'm the CTO of Leisure Link Incorporated, a new startup that just came into being summer of last year, I think officially is when we got our incorporation papers. I have a long background in startups, most of which have failed, a few of which have done okay. But I stepped into it because of a love of technology years and years ago, and that love of technology continues today. Um, yeah, so that's kind of me in a nutshell. Uh, you may have noticed that I also do a little bit of martial arts on the side. Have my school logo in the background there. I don't know if you can see it.
Are you in the studio right now?
I am in the studio right now. I'm almost always either on my way to do kung fu or coming back from doing kung fu.
In which one is it today?
Well, I finished my morning meetings and had a little break for lunch, and now I'm getting ready for my afternoon classes, which start in a couple hours or so.
Love
So
it. What does an average day look like for John as it relates to Kung Fu, as it relates to work and entrepreneurship, running a business?
it's a little crazy. I explained to somebody what my typical weekdays were like once, and they're like, "How do you manage that week in and week out?" Um, so usually I get up pretty early, 4:35 ish, and make myself some breakfast, take a quick jog to the school, and do some training, usually until about 9 ish. Or so, when I'll practice forms and hit the bags or whatever it is I'm doing that day. I generally make a mess. Get ready to do morning classes. I love teaching kung fu, especially things like Wing Chun in the morning. It just seems to make everybody's day better. Um, I usually break in midday, and then I'll start catching up on what's going on with Leisure Link, closing out some of the tickets in my in my scrum board that I didn't get to last night, uh, and get ready for afternoon. And afternoon classes, I teach mostly kids classes after school,
Awesome.
and then we do adults and fighting classes and stuff like that later at night. And then
So how
after
did you, I mean, there's so many different ways we can go, but I'm really curious.
uh,
How did you get into martial arts to start with?
Uh, well, I've been into martial arts almost my whole life, like as far back as I can remember. Um, I fell in love with the sword, mostly, watching old Doug Fairbanks movies and Errol Flynn movies. I just loved it, and loved it so much that I went out and taught myself how to use a sword when I was a kid. And it was back before the days of Google or any of that stuff. So I would have to go to the library. um, I would jog to the library and check out a couple of books on martial arts or fencing and study them and train. And it's been with me ever since. When I was a teenager, I used to do a whole lot of long distance running. Um, I was running up this mountain, and I ran into a tiny little shrine with some monks doing kung fu, and they let me train with them, and I kind of fell in love with it. So that was my start. I went into a whole variety of different martial arts from there, and I've just been doing it ever since.
Very cool. Very cool. And so how long have you run your studio and taught classes for?
I've been in this location for 9 years, I think, 8, 9 years, something like that. I was teaching martial arts down in the San Francisco Bay Area for quite some time, under my my Taekwondo master, Grandmaster Charles Edmonds, who's a fantastic Kong Chong martial arts master, and my Kung Fu Sifu, Vince Lacey. Um, so I taught down there for quite some time and trained with them, and I was very fortunate to have that experience. And I feel it's like kind of my duty to take what they taught me and show it to other people.
Love that. Love that. That's what it's all about. Um, can you quickly give a shout out to the studio name, your studio name? What are you called?
Oh, it's Blade and Fist Martial Arts. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I opened it actually with my son, who's uh,
Awesome.
he's not living in the area anymore. He moved to the East Coast and got married and did all that stuff, and I couldn't be happier for him. But yeah, that's I still teach a lot of sword arts. I teach a lot of open hand arts, and both have their places.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I just saw a cool video of you with the Lunar New Year, which was pretty awesome. It was your students,
Yes.
and do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah. So that was the Southern Oregon Chinese Cultural Association. Uh, as a little bit of a word, mouthful, Soka. I don't know if you know about much about the Chinese culture here in Southern Oregon, but especially where we're at, around the Medford area, there's a strong Chinese community that dates back from the building of the railroads. So there's that richness of that cultural richness of the Chinese ancestry in the area. And a couple of years ago, they invited me to come and demonstrate Chinese martial arts, which I did. And they liked it so much they invited us back this year. And I was on the fence as to whether I wanted to do it because like usually getting out in front of the camera is not my thing. But my students insisted. They had such a great time last year. They said
Awesome.
let's do it, and they promised me I wouldn't have to demonstrate anything this time around. So I did it.
Well, that must be a testament to you as a teacher and a mentor and all of that. So you have your martial arts studio. You mentioned Leisure Link, which I would love to get into, maybe a little bit further as well, learn more about at least what you can tell us. And
uh,
then you also you started your own pub, right? It was called. Tell us
uh,
what it was called and
Yep, the
what.
Black Sheep Pub. You know, I found I was juggling a few too many things, so I had to hand the Black Sheep off
Okay.
for now. But I love that place. It was like the town's living room, you know, and I think we'll be able to reopen it. I think we might get somebody else to run it and kind of keep that tradition alive, which would be excellent. But yeah, there's only so many things I could start to juggle.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Well, cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about Leisure Link. You know, what can you tell us? What tidbits are you okay talking about and sharing to drive
Oh,
some energy and excitement?
well, all right. So, like, I'll answer any questions you want actually on it.
Okay.
I will let you know that LeisureLink, even though we incorporated last summer officially, has its roots in previous iterations of this idea that we're developing.
Mm,
Um, if you go far back enough, it has its distant roots in SocialNet. I don't know if you remember SocialNet, which was, yeah, vaguely maybe the first social network.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Pat Farrell was on that team right at the start,
Mm,
right? And if you know about SocialNet, you know there's like a few different kind of verticals that they attacked, and one was work, and one was play, and one was home, like living opportunities and things like that. So LeisureLink was founded by myself and Pat and Charmaine, our other founder, as sort of the next iteration of just that leisure section of the three verticals.
mm,
Um, it's mostly. So we were going to actually, when we incorporated, we were going to kind of name ourselves after the first product we were developing. Um, and we wanted to keep that a little close to the chest for for to keep it close to the chest so not too much leaked out about it. Frankly, because this what we're doing is just so incredible. Our biggest problem, our biggest obstacle is going to be somebody, with deep pockets, like one of the existing players in the space, just deciding to throw, 100 developers to replicate what we're going to do. That's really what
Sure.
we see as our biggest issue. So it's kind of we decided it was a race against time between us getting the product to market and showing traction, you know,
Yeah.
before people cottoned on to what we were trying to do. So in amongst that, uh, I had quite a long plan, a long list of things I wanted to develop. And my product list only starts with our first one. Right now, my development plan goes out 5 to 8 years, I think, and includes at least
That's
two other
incredible.
products related to LeisureLink. So we decided to form LeisureLink kind of as a corporation to envelop all of these things that we were doing.
Got it. Well,
I,
what
I
can
I
you
know that's
tell?
kind of a lot.
Well, what can you tell us about the first product that you are going to release? Maybe a release timeline, maybe types of features, maybe anything that would be a little extra.
Yeah, so the product itself is going to be one of those things that's I really see it as um, an incredibly beneficial product to everybody who might use it. Right? It's a thing that when we start deploying it and we start getting people on it, people are going to say, "Wow, this is what the internet has been missing."
Hmm.
And I know, like every founder might say something like that, but uh, I've never talked about a product to investors or to engineers or people on the street or anybody I talk to about what we're developing. All of them are saying is yes, we need this, and we needed this years ago, and we just don't have
So
it.
what is the internet missing?
so, uh, so first, let me tell you a little bit about uh, the existing state of the internet, and I won't go too far down that
Go
rabbit hole.
far. Let's hear it. I agree. I like
But
this.
but I was using the internet before there were uh, uh, visual web browsers. When you had a cursor as a text-only interface to the internet,
Hmm.
right? And it was all promise at that point, right? We could see the future of what the internet was going to be and how it would draw us all together. It would make the world smaller and bring people closer together, right? Uh, but that was like 80s. Now, if you talk to people about social networking, you talk to them about Facebook, no one wants to get on Facebook. They feel like they have to get on Facebook, right? Instead of bringing people closer together, instead of enriching people's lives, too often social networking is all about keeping eyeballs glued to the screen, generating outrage for clicks, right? Monetizing people's content, and people's connections. Um, and I think we've seen where that leads. Right? We have this loneliness epidemic where people are so disconnected from each other, right? They're so loath to go out and meet new people because of the divisiveness that comes with that sort of unfettered anonymity that you get in social media posts. Um, I think Cory Doctorow coined the term the enshittification of the internet,
Yeah.
right? And it's this race to the bottom that happens where unless you have people paying attention to the market and to what people want and what people need, it boils down to what's going to generate the most revenue for the next quarter. And that's
Hmm.
what we see happening, the end game of that in big social networks.
Yeah.
So that's a mouthful again, but
It's it. I think it's very relatable with what everybody's experiencing. So I do think we're in it and we're seeing
yeah,
it and we all feel it. And a lot of us are disgusted by it. It's
correct.
but we feel stuck and we feel like some of
Yeah.
these tools were forced to do, you know?
So if there's one thing I know, I've learned about it, being an entrepreneur and being like a serial startup junkie and starting new businesses, is you can't be afraid to do something just because no one's ever done it before,
Hmm.
right? You can't listen to all those people out there that saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to fail because of X or Y." You just got to go forward and do it. And I think we can change things. I think we can turn things around, even if we go nowhere as a company or product, by showing people that there's a better way to build this internet. I think we can build this future together, and I
Hmm.
think we can make everybody's lives better as a result, and really start fulfilling that promise that the internet, originally had, which is to bring us all closer together and make our lives better, not worse.
Yeah. Where does that come from for you? That feels like that's innate, deep rooted in you, and like as a driver to build and be a part of Leisure Link. You have a 5 to 8 year roadmap. Where did that come from?
Uh, I always had a predilection for developing complex systems, especially from a macro level. I love looking at, you know, uh, like a huge economy or intricate infrastructure, and and it just speaks to me. I can tell how it's going to work, or what levers to pull, or what directions to steer to make big changes with relatively small, small leverage. Martial arts is the same way, right? Like I want to be able to, exert as little force as I want to create the change that that I would like to see. Um, and yes, I think we should all be in the business of making everybody's lives better. I think we should all be in the business of uh, creating more joy in the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if I
where does
can,
that come from? Where is that intrinsic feeling coming from?
well, I think it's in all of us as human beings, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
if we think about enlightenment and fulfillment, it all boils down to that: is making other people's lives better, making the world a better place than we left it. Right. And yes, I think that does come a lot from Kung Fu philosophy, and like sort of my own code of ethics that I follow because of that. Right. It's our job as people to be good caretakers of not just the planet, but each other.
It's a powerful message. We need it these days.
I don't think we get enough of it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't like proselytizing. You know, I'm much more comfortable leading from the front and showing people the direction I'm running and see who's going to try and keep up with me.
Yeah. Love that. Um, Anything else you want to tell us about Leisure Link that you can sprinkle in?
Well, I mean, LeisureLink started with this seed of an idea. Um, this first product, and I will tell you a little bit more about the product shortly, but I
Okay.
do want to talk about LeisureLink and the team, right?
Yeah.
Because I've been through a lot of startups, a lot of early phase startups, a lot of garage startups, and I've never had a team come together this well, right? This just like this perfect storm of people joining and saying, "Yeah, we love your vision. The time is right. Let's do it." Right? Everyone is a rock star on our team. Um, from Chris, Jessica, Charmaine, uh, uh, Pat. Uh, those guys just knock it out of the park. Uh, we just brought in a new engineering director, Luke, who I worked with years ago, um, to help me out now that I've got a little bit too much on my plate. But it's just such a fantastic team. And
That's awesome.
it meets all the tests that I usually run through in my head as to what's going to be a good team, a team long term, right? When building a team, it's important to kind of there's there's sort of like an art form to building a good team, right? You have to have supportive skill sets and personalities, right? The last thing you want is a team who all think and look the same, right? Who all have the same skills. That's a really weak team if everybody's a quarterback. They're not going to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Um, they have to mesh well together and work well together and understand each other's philosophies. Uh, they have to be, and this is like personally me. Everybody on my team are going to be people I would be comfortable sharing a cubicle with for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Because in the startup world, that's it. You got to be ready to give a piece of your lives to everybody that's on the team, and everyone at Leisure Link fits that bill. Uh, we just, I've got to take a second to tout this. We've been talking with an entrepreneur by the name of Julie Wainwright for quite some time. And you might know her as the founder of The Real Real.
That's right.
And yeah, a couple others. She's just so smart and so knowledgeable, and wants to be on our advisory board. And we just couldn't be happier because, first
Amazing.
of all, she just got a taste of what we were building and was like, yes, this is something that the world needs right now. Which is just such a great, it's a validation of what we're trying to accomplish. Um, and Mario Chavez um, came on board. He's a long-term uh, uh, advisor to venture capitalists. He's actually been working with us for a long time. He, in one of our previous iterations of this attempt, he helped us out, but he helped us out without any expectations early last year when we were just forming the idea of coming up with a plan. And he has been invaluable in getting our team off the ground, getting our development started, all of that stuff. And to have him on the advisory board, it just makes me feel great inside, because
Congrats.
yeah,
That's huge.
you know, if you look at our team, you go up to leisurelink.biz or LinkedIn and check them all out. They're all super people, and they all share our vision. You know,
Yeah. So when you and your co-founder were looking at bringing on the first person or the first couple people, um, what were the skill sets you were looking at? What were the conversations you were having? What did that look like?
so we'll go back to our original about a little over 10 years ago now. Gosh,
Okay.
Pat and I were working on a startup that was a precursor to this called ActiveNet. Um, and I came on board to help out on the technical side of things, because I had a great networking and operational background. Um, and that product didn't get off the ground. It actually, we had a lot of traction with it at a small scale, but the implementation kind of started, it did not scale well.
Hmm.
So we had people using it. We had 100,000 people using the application in the Bay Area
Yeah.
long after we had run out of money to build the features that we wanted in
Hmm.
there. So uh, this time around, I'd actually started implementing a plan to do this product on my own, which was going to take me quite some time. Like realistically, it was going to take me a couple of years to get initial things up and running. Um, and that was, gosh, it's a year ago, I think. Yeah, last January or even that last December. Um,
So at that time you were solo, thinking about the business long term. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I was noodling around with the
Okay.
concept of the application and
Yeah.
trying to figure out how I could get it to market
Yep.
on my own.
Okay. Okay.
uh, Pat was thinking the same thing, unbeknownst to me, and reached out, and we said, yeah, we need to do this, right?
Yeah.
Um, whereas I'm pretty good at some of the technical aspects of things, and
Yeah.
Pat has a long list of CEO titles and startup ventures under his belt.
Hmm.
Um, if you were a gamer as a kid, you might remember GamePro magazine.
Hmm.
That was Pat.
Absolutely.
You've probably
Oh,
seen his you've probably seen his picture in the letterhead.
he was founder of GamePro magazine?
Yeah.
No way. Incredible.
So and he brings a lot of that operational and organizational expertise to the table that like I struggle with, right?
Yeah.
And he's fantastic at connecting with people, at finding people who are interested in investing and all of those things. So he brought those connections and he brought that uh, 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 ability to really start to plan an organization and a team. Um,
Who
and
reached out to who first?
uh, so he actually reached out to me.
Okay.
I was gonna reach out to him.
Your ears were burning.
Yeah, it was like serendipity. It was pretty cool. But you know, a lot of this experience has been like that. It just things came together, you
Yeah.
know, uh, and there is one of those signs that I feel like the universe is telling us we're on the right track. You know, so we're trying to capture lightning in a bottle, and I think we've got it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how many people do you have on your team currently?
Let me see. We've got quite a. Let's see, we got Pat, Charmaine, myself. We've got Jessica Clark, who's fantastic at social media. We've got Chris Lee, who's worked in VC before. We've got Luke Kilpatrick. I think that's our founding team.
Hmm.
Uh, we're working with a group called Hikru Tech down in Costa Rica as our initial development team, and they've been working for us for um, about a year now. So we're getting close. It's great.
Is there a target launch date or anything like that?
We are targeting mid to late June as our initial launch. And what we want to do is a semi-closed launch. And this happens like goes towards our launch plan is we're really interested in showing traction right out the gate and
Mhm.
showing value and sustainability right out the gate.
Yeah.
So instead of the worldwide public launch, we're launching in select markets uh, to see if we, you know, to validate what we're doing
Yeah.
and to try and create viral growth out from there.
Is there a target profile or user base that's interesting to you or
Uh,
Leisure Link in general? Or are
we
you able to
we
touch on
do
that?
we
Okay.
do. And this is another interesting thing about what we're doing at Leisure Link is
Hmm.
we have uh, an advisory group, our Generations Advisory Group, which are it basically consists of people who are interested in our product that we've talked to about um, from every generation we can identify, uh, you know, from Gen Z up, right?
Yeah.
Uh, uh, and they're basically our standing research group. They're there for us to ask questions about, ask them what we want to do with the app, whether the direction is correct, what's working, what's not. And that's unique to me in startups. Like I've never been in a startup this early that's had that kind of resource.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that's our high level question. For myself personally, I would like to target 50 and up Kung Fu school owners as our initial users.
I get it. I get it.
But you know, realistically, we're picking uh, the 21 to 45 demographic.
Hmm.
Um, just to gain some initial traction. We might, we, our intent is eventually to open this to everybody because like I talked to my mom about this product and she's like, when can I use that?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Everyone we talk to from virtually every group is interested in using what we have planned.
Yeah. Is there any way to prevent a big, FANG from coming in and doing their overreach and just throwing money at it?
You know, it's possible. Um, uh,
I think a
it-
lot of entrepreneurs are always scared of that. It seems
yeah.
like that's a when I go to these meetups and I talk to founders, it's there's a big fear that the solution that they're building can be replicated, and money will trump, a good idea, and it's
Yeah, there's always that danger, right?
yeah,
Like somebody else, like the second person to the market builds a better product. There's
right,
always that, you know. Um, I this is kind of why we've been holding the application itself and what we're actually doing close to the vest, so
yeah,
that we give those bigger players less time to react before we show traction, right?
sure,
Uh, we have to navigate sort of like a very like a we have to walk a tightrope here, right?
mhm,
Like we have to show traction and we have to show what we're doing works uh, uh, enough so that we can build up a buffer to fend these people off, right?
yeah,
Because, like I said earlier, yeah, I think people are going to approach us. The big names are going to try and throw money at us to sell out once they see what we're doing,
yeah,
right? Um, personally, as the CTO and one of the votes on the board of directors, I don't see me agreeing to that anytime soon. Um, I I'm not in this for the money. You know, I'm not in this to make a quick buck. I'm in this for the long haul, and I'm in this to grow a product that we can be proud of. So there's that we have going for us, right?
yeah,
And I think everybody on our team is the same way. We all want to see this grow. All want to see this succeed and make the world a better place than we left it.
yeah,
Uh, the other thing we have going for us is I think, a lot of the big names, having worked at some of those big names, by the way,
yeah,
uh, they have an innovation problem, right?
they do,
Uh, because their products and their brands are established, because their philosophies are set, uh, things that deviate from that are difficult for them to accomplish in a short term. So, in order for them to try something new, it takes them a while. They have to steer this big ship uh, around in order to get on the project plan and in order to take those chances.
mhm,
So I think realistically, big names would take a look at that and say, look, let's just try and buy these guys and see if we can do it that way first.
yeah,
Um, and I think that will give us probably about a six month to a year lead time before they realize that they're not going to just throw some money at us to get us to stop.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's good,
yeah. Uh, so it's a race against time. Do we grow big enough that we can withstand any of this stuff before before the big names catch up? Because I don't think any of them are going to do what we're doing nearly as well, or
mhm,
because look at their market. Like they're all about selling clicks, right? They're
yeah,
if that's what they're concerned with, eventually any product they get is going to go the same way.
yeah. Well, so a lot of my viewers and the people that are going to hear this are in the engineering community, right?
Yeah.
I've worked with software engineers for the past 16 years, and really that's large in scale the type of people that are listening here. And so, is there anything that you would want to kind of say to them, right? Because hopefully someone listens to this and is a rock star and wants to join your mission, and so would love to, from the efforts of recruiting awesome talent and people, and or in any other way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
what would you like to say to them, or
You know,
yeah,
I always debate about going back to my network and people that have worked for me in the past to approach a product like this. And I
mhm,
really shouldn't. I should go hit those guys up. Um, and I do. When I hit them up, I realize they're all CTOs and
yeah,
owners of their own startups and things like that. Um, and it's hard for me to find those, the people who have worked for me in the past that haven't gone out and created their own success
mhm.
afterwards. You know, and
That's a
people around
testament.
me,
That's great.
yeah,
That's
they tell me that's something to do with me. I don't think it is.
uh,
I think it's because I like to hire people smarter and better than me, you know,
yeah,
because it doesn't matter what the problem is. Somewhere out there is going to fix it better than I than I can do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Uh,
Hey, I have a mantra in my life. It's a Bay Area rapper I used to listen to growing up. His name's The Grouch, but one of his lines in one of his songs was surround yourself with prosperous people and you will strive hard to be more than equal. And like honestly, I just like I love that, that mantra and
yeah,
to live that way of just, yeah, it's that hiring really smart people, smarter than you to make great decisions, but that have good core values and that's the way to do it. So I
yeah.
think that's good.
I will say to those people who are in the engineering field or any
Yeah.
field, really, if you're out there looking for work, or interested in what we're doing, there are places for you out there, right? There are people that you would love to work with out there. Um, if you if you like what somebody is building, if you like their mission, and you connect with them, there's no harm in reaching out to them. There's no harm in that. Um, Too often, I find that there's people who are new to the engineering world, right, who are self-taught or who are in small markets. They're afraid to reach out. They're convinced that they can accomplish whatever it is, right? And I'm telling you, you can. Like if you have the mind, the engineering mind, if you have like to build things, it doesn't matter if you don't know the language, right? It doesn't matter if you haven't done it in the past. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it because you can.
Are there to that line of thought, is there any tips in terms of uh someone being involved in Git and open source projects that they
Yes.
should really get involved in and focus on to build that skill set and to show a body of work.
Um, yeah, write lots of code.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Solve problems that you want to solve. Start your own project. Pick up a new skill, right? Figure out what you want to build and just start building it. And if you run into things that you think are speed bumps or roadblocks that you can't make any traction, um, yeah, then you can approach people and go do some online research and see if there's someone who can help you out. But the best way to learn it is just by like doing it and banging your head against it until either your skull gives or the problem does.
That's awesome. All right, so you had changing gears just a little bit. We on your LinkedIn profile, you were the chief retrophrenology. Am I saying that correctly? Retrophrenology officer. And I looked up retrophrenology because I was not certain what that was. Can you shed any light into that? Because you were talking about banging your head against a wall and you can make anything figure out. Does it have anything to do with that? I don't know.
It kind of does. It kind of does. So I don't know if you know what phrenology is. If you've Googled it, you'll probably know, right?
Okay.
It was this kind of Victorian pseudoscience uh, where they could predict your future, your personality, and your abilities through like the shape of your skull,
Okay.
right? And my retrophrenology actually comes from Terry Pratchett, Sir Terry Pratchett, who is like a lovely person that I've been fortunate enough to run into a few times over the years and have very meaningful conversations with before he passed. Um, but yeah, if you haven't read any of his books, I highly recommend it. He's one of the
Okay.
smartest writers out there. Uh, but yeah, he coined the retrophrenology term, and I kind of ran with it, which is, instead of phrenology, like just predicting how people are going to act, uh, kind of dictating how they're going to act by changing the shape of their skulls, um,
Yeah.
preferably
I love
with percussive force.
it. Does that have to do with your martial arts background as well?
It it kind of does a little bit.
Yeah.
I joke with one of my students who basically he loves sparring. He's just a little dynamo. He can't get enough of it. He comes as many times as he can. And every time he walks in the door, I'm like, "Oh, you're here for getting hit on the head lessons again." And then I'll tell him what sounds to make, just like Monty Python would. But yeah, a little bit of that. I did a lot of hitting people on the head over the years and getting hit on the
Yeah.
head.
So I heard you say recently that martial arts is for everybody. And
It
so tell
is.
us about that. I think that's good for people to hear because I think there's probably a lot of people out there that could benefit from getting into it and maybe are nervous or scared of doing so or don't know maybe the path or the way to go about it.
Yeah. So look, I'm gonna share a little story with you on this is pretty recent. My newest Wing Chun student is an older woman. She's retired. Um, she'd been a bit of a shut-in, um, and you know, thought all of her days of like social and physical interaction were behind her. Um, she came into my school, literally hobbled into my school. She was walking with a cane. She was slow. She was had her head down, um, and just came to watch because she wanted to see what it was about. One of my other students convinced her to come. She's been training with me for a few months now. Um, doesn't walk with a cane anymore. Hasn't walked with one for about a month. Um, isn't as afraid to go out and meet people. Isn't as afraid to put herself out there. And she told me the other day that my Wing Chun teaching kind of brought her this newfound outlook on life and this uh, idea that she shouldn't limit herself just because of who she is or her age, right, or her ability, or her whatever infirmities or illnesses she had. And this is a common refrain for my students. Uh, they come in and they end up doing things they never thought they'd be able to do again, or things they never thought they'd be able to do. It's To me, that's what teaching kung fu is all about. And you'll sense a theme here, like
Yeah.
making people's lives fundamentally better, right?
Mm.
Making people's uh, giving people the ability to see beyond their own limits and accomplish things that they never thought they'd be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep
Yeah.
telling her I'm going to get her on the sparring floor one of these days. Uh,
I can't
uh,
wait.
yeah.
That's so cool. That is, I really think movement and health and exercise and all that stuff are just such critical facets to a well-rounded and fulfilled life. And
Yeah.
however people can get that.
You know, I, I, you don't see a lot of this in my LinkedIn bio or my CV, but uh, I've been in the hacker underworld for a long, long time, and to me, kung fu is another aspect of that of looking at the world and looking at yourself and making changes in ways you didn't think you would be able to changing things about yourself that you would like to see different or better. You know,
Yeah.
um, I told one of my students I feel like kung fu is like a advanced owner's manual for the human being.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I love it. Well, any other tidbits, any other places you would want to talk about, just for our audience?
Well, so I will say a little bit about our product,
Okay.
and
Go ahead.
we're calling our product Third Space. Uh, I don't know if you know about the whole third place the movement back from the 80s.
Tell
Right.
us.
So in everybody's lives, they have three places, right? They have where they spend their lives. So they have their home in their home life, and they have their work life, right? And they have their third place, that place where they go when they're not when they're not home or at work, right? And that third place is what we're focusing on, where you choose to spend your discretionary time. Who do you hang out with? Like, what do you do uh, when you're not obligated to do something?
Yeah.
So
That's the best place.
yes, it is, and that's the
Yeah.
place where, like that's the top of Maslow's hierarchy, right? Like you want to
Mhm.
be in that place where you feel fulfilled, where you feel you're among your peers, um, and that's the name of our product. Uh,
Love that.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, uh, yeah,
Did you come up with the name?
I did.
Love
I
it.
did. And it's one of those things. Um, we had a discussion for about a month and a half over what we should call the product because we already knew what it wanted to do, and I came up with the term, and a lot of it has to do with my pub was people's third place, right? Uh, it was we're people's clubhouse, just like my
Mhm.
school here is my students' clubhouse. I have teenagers come here to hang out on Friday night. God knows why they come here instead of doing anything else, but they seem to like it, even if they're not actively training. So, what we want to do is be that for everybody. Uh, have you be able to connect to your third place, find people that you want to do things with, right? Find the things that you want to do, and be able to go out there and live your life. Uh,
That's perfect.
yeah. So I'll give you like a couple of our use cases, right? We all have hobbies that we pursue, right? Uh, when you're looking for places to do that hobby, whatever it is. For me, it happens to be kung fu, right?
Mhm.
But when I'm looking for a place to do kung fu, it's very difficult as an adult to go into a new school, right? To find a new training partner. Very hard to find people like that. Uh, when we're younger or when we're in school, when we're at university, there are systems in place to help us with that. But for adults, there's not. So Uh, third space would be that place where you can find somebody in your area that shares your interests, your loves, um, and get together, connect with them, and go out and do something instead of
Mhm.
post about doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Um, and I talked a little bit about myself being my first customer. Um, there's an untapped market out there, I think. For me, running a small martial arts school, I find people who come through my door love what I teach them, right? Getting people to find me has always been the biggest barrier to entry, not for myself, but for other schools that are out there and for other businesses that are out there.
Yeah.
Whether it be like curtain climbing gyms or parkour gyms, uh, yoga schools, all of those things. People want what we're offering, right? But connecting with them has been difficult. There's no cost-effective way to do it, right? Or
Mhm.
the traditional print media is dead, right? You can't go out there and put like a local ad in the paper. Uh, Online sites like Nextdoor are a nightmare to deal with. Big sites like Facebook are not only soulless but very restrictive to small businesses. They are not small business friendly and not cost effective. If I look at my advertising dollars online, I usually spend maybe $10 for every $5 I get back in revenue. It just doesn't make
Yep.
any sense, right? But if I could find the people in my area who really want to learn what I'm teaching and reach them directly for a reasonable price, that would be invaluable to me.
Mhm.
So that's our second use case right there.
Got it. So you're seeing the people to people, but then you're also seeing a business to people platform as well.
Yeah, I think so. Um,
Business to
uh,
consumer.
for me, like a product is only a good product if everyone involved benefits. Um, and this is one of those products where, yeah, I think all sides of of this equation, they all benefit. You know,
Yeah.
um, the internet runs on advertising, right? All the big names run on advertising. None of us like to see ads pop up in our Facebook feeds. None of us like the junk that shows up in LinkedIn or Nextdoor or whatever it is, right? Imagine if there was a social network out there uh, that would send you the ads that you wanted to see right then. That would say, "Hey, look, you know, your um, regular pickleball squad isn't available this Thursday afternoon. These guys are holding a pickleball tournament, or these people are there to teach you, right? Imagine there was a place where the advertising was so relevant to what it is you're thinking about and doing, that it's welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
That
want
is my nirvana. That is
yeah.
what I want to build. And we are getting there. I think we can do that. You know, as an advertiser, I want to go out and find the one person out there who wants to learn Wing Chun on Thursday at 7 o'clock and say, look, come, this is what we're doing. Come and learn with us.
Yeah.
Right. And that connection right there is what we're targeting.
Very cool.
Yeah, when I talk to people about this, tech people or VCs, I'm like, good, look, go out on the internet, find a way to find a new tennis partner within an hour, right? See if you
Exactly.
can eat.
Yeah.
How do you do? Right? You know, go move to a new city, go pick up a new gig someplace else, and then try and find a social group.
Hmm.
Good luck with that. There's nothing out there that's going to tackle those problems the way that we're going to tackle them.
Yep. Yep. Well, I think that's been missing, as someone who I'm in the Pacific Northwest and who moved to the Bay Area for many years, that was a gap in my in that age group. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like early 30s to 40 years old, moving to the Bay Area young, like to do things, and it's very hard to meet people and to be active in the ways I wanted to be. So often it was solo, and
yeah.
you have to have the confidence to do that. But it would have been much greater to just simply go somewhere and have the
That's right.
ability to make
To
those
have
quick
someone help.
connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been a very interesting journey developing this product from that kernel of an idea to where we're at now. Um,
Mhm.
our development team has been super helpful in getting me to kind of dial in where I'm needing, uh, where I where I need to change my original vision and adjust
Mhm.
it. Um, we're experimenting a little bit with AI helping in the background, especially for connections and stuff like that. It's very promising. Um, but like I tell my partner Pat, I'm not promising you a feature until I get it out the door. So
There you
don't
go.
sell it to investors yet.
Do you feel like there's any cross between Meetup and what Leisure Link is doing?
There's a lot of there there are a lot of crossover uh, products. There are a lot of products that, if you look at the Venn diagram of what we're doing, brush up against the edges of it.
Yeah.
When we did a competitive analysis, uh, we looked at about 300 different products out there. Um, None of them approaches this silo like we do, right? Uh, if you look at Meetup, the barrier to entry is a little high, right?
Mhm.
Have you gone on to Meetup and tried to find like,
I have.
so what
Yeah.
was that experience like for you?
I get, I don't really use it, like
You
it
don't
was
really.
whatever my experience was enough to make me not really use it. I've found it more valuable as a business owner,
Yes.
but as an individual, not so much. I know a few people that like my mother-in-law, she's been able to use it, moving to a new city and meet groups,
Yeah.
but it's kind
Um,
of broad. It seems like it's broad. It's not hyper focused on a specific group, or maybe it is. I'm not sure. So
Yeah, you can do it. Like you can, if you beat on the problem enough, you can get Meetup to find you some things like that you're
yeah.
looking for, right? And it's like that with a lot of products, like Facebook groups. Yeah, eventually you can kind of do what you want to accomplish, maybe, right? It's not a great experience, right?
Mhm.
Reddit is probably the closest to us as far as interest base,
Mhm.
but again, you don't have that proximity in time and place, right?
Yeah.
If you want to go out and play, find a 3-on-3 pickup basketball game in 3 hours that's happening, you cannot do that on the internet,
Right. Right.
right? Um, and there are other problems that I think are key to what we're trying to accomplish as well, right? Like you have a group of friends um, that you hang out with, right? You've been in that situation of like, yeah, look, what are we doing on Friday night? Like, where are we going to eat? Like, what are we? Are we going to the movies? We going bowling? What is it we're going to do? Right. You could use third space to figure out, what the hot thing is in the area, or you look at your interests and say, good gosh, these guys, there's an axe throwing bar that just opened up. Let's try those guys. Right.
Yeah.
Um, so everywhere I look, there are very compelling use cases for what we're trying to accomplish. That is very difficult to do outside with any of the existing um, networks.
Yeah. I can't
So,
wait. So where,
yeah.
how do people, so I know you're going in very specific to start with groups, but if people want to sign up to be aware and to be those first members, how do they go about doing that?
So you can go to our business site. It's leisurelink .biz, not .com. I'm still working on that domain. Hopefully I'll get it eventually. There's an email sign up list that we're collecting people who want to be informed,
Yep.
people who might want to be early, like early adopters, um, any of those things. That's probably the lowest barrier to entry. You can look us up there. Um, uh, we will be looking at early adopting sites for second and third.
Hmm.
But if you happen to be in the Bay Area, or as it turns out, Southern Oregon, I may be able to get you in there early.
Yeah.
Although, it looks like we're going to launch in Costa Rica pretty early on too, because our development
Very
team
cool.
are all like, "When can I use this product?" Oh, like, guys, you got to build it, and then we can get you on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, leisurelink.biz. Uh, I'm very approachable on social media, on LinkedIn especially. Um, you can search for us there or out on the internet. All of those places, I guess.
I'm signed up. I'm ready. So I'm excited for this. I think this is exactly what we need.
I think it is. I'll be looking forward to putting you on our advisory team, our generations team. I
Oh,
do like,
love that.
I fully intend to give our early adopters very hefty benefits in the long term. So the earlier you get on online,
I'm
the
in.
better that your experience will be.
I'm in. I'm in. Absolutely. Full circle for sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, John, anything else you want to share?
Gosh, like we've been over quite a lot of stuff. I can't believe you brought up the retrophrenology thing. That was cute.
Love it. Love it. Well,
Um,
it's been absolutely a pleasure. And so um it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I hope you get some usable, uh, something usable out of all of this.
Yeah.